How Christianity and Islam encourage love for neighbor and humanity. Fundamental teachings that stress love for one's neighbor and humanity are the foundation of both Islam and Christianity. Both religions emphasize the value of community building, compassion for the weak, and loving one another in their sacred texts and teachings. In this video, we will highlight some of the key ways these faiths encourage love for neighbor. Number 7. Central commandment of love. Both Islam and Christianity are based on the commandment to love, which shapes the moral compass of their followers. In the New Testament of Christianity, Jesus highlights this idea, especially in the Gospel of Mark, where he says, "You shall love your neighbor as yourself." This instruction requires not only an emotional bond, but also demonstrable empathy and kindness towards others. It sets a norm for social interactions and exhorts Christians to act and make decisions with others' welfare in mind. Similar to this, the Quran in Islam emphasizes the value of compassion and love. Muslims are commanded by verses to show kindness to their neighbors and fellow citizens, irrespective of their status or religion. This emphasis on love between the two parties creates a sense of community and inspires followers to show compassion to people outside of their immediate social circles. It fosters an atmosphere in which love is seen as more than just an individual emotion and becomes a shared responsibility, inspiring believers to actively pursue the well-being of others and foster a sense of unity. Number 6. Compassion for the vulnerable. The moral obligation to provide care for the weak and marginalized members of society, such as widows, orphans, and the impoverished, is emphasized in both Christianity and Islam. The Bible expressly commands Christians to help the poor, as evidenced by verses like James that declare that practicing true religion entails tending to the needs of widows and orphans. This demonstrates a proactive compassion that calls on Christians to offer practical support instead of just words of consolation. This idea is further demonstrated by the Good Samaritan parable, which shows how love is unaffected by social norms and biases. The Quran, which stresses the value of charity and helping the weak, contains many verses that support this commitment and serve as a reminder to Muslims. For example, Quran defines righteousness as providing for the poor, while Quran also highlights fairness and almsgiving. Both religions emphasize to their followers that helping the weak is not only morally required but also a basic expression of love. They also emphasize that the best ways for believers to show their faith are through helping those in need. Believers are inspired to actively participate in social justice and humanitarian endeavors by this shared commitment, which cultivates a culture of compassion. Number 5. Value of human life. In both Islam and Christianity, the sanctity of human life is a deeply held belief that reflects a deep respect for the inherent dignity of every individual. According to the Quran, Islam holds that saving one life is the same as saving all of humanity. This potent statement emphasizes the notion that every individual's life is of immeasurable value, and that it is a sacred duty to protect life. The Islamic concept of ummah, which highlights the group's duty to safeguard and take care of its members, supports this viewpoint even more. This idea is further reinforced by the Christian notion that all people are made in God's image, which holds that each person has inherent value and deserves to be treated with dignity and respect. Adherents are inspired to participate in social justice initiatives, support human rights, and defend the most vulnerable members of society by this common commitment to valuing human life, which cultivates a culture of compassion and advocacy. Both religions encourage their adherents to act with love and integrity by highlighting the sanctity of life, making sure that everyone is treated with respect and care regardless of their circumstances. Number 4. Encouragement of charity. As a sign of a strong commitment to love and service, charitable giving is a basic Christian and Islamic custom. Generosity is frequently viewed in Christianity as an essential component of a person's faith and relationship with God. According to the New Testament, it is more blessed to give than to receive, which exhorts Christians to develop altruism and generosity. Jesus frequently connected love with deeds of service, encouraging his disciples to provide food for the hungry, clothing for the naked, and medical care for the ill. These teachings serve as an example of this idea. Zakat, one of the 5 pillars of Islam, requires Muslims to give a portion of their wealth, typically 2.5%, to those in need. This institutionalizes charity in Islam. This responsibility not only reduces poverty, but also strengthens the bonds of community and unity among Christians. Furthermore, the idea of voluntary charity, or sadaqah, encourages Muslims to give above and beyond the required zakat, further solidifying the notion that charity is an ongoing act of kindness and love. In both religions, giving to charity is seen as an essential way to show one's love, a way to uphold one's moral obligations, and a way to build a society that is more compassionate and just. Faithful people of both religions actively practice charity, embodying the love that they are called to share with others and transforming their faith into action. Number 3. Promoting forgiveness and reconciliation. Both Islam and Christianity place a strong emphasis on forgiveness and reconciliation, understanding how important it is to mend relationships and promote communal harmony. In the Sermon on the Mount, Jesus teaches Christians the importance of forgiveness. He calls on them to make amends with others before presenting their offerings at the altar. This lesson emphasizes the notion that unresolved disputes can impede a person's relationship with God and that love necessitates proactive attempts to heal strained bonds. The prodigal son story serves as another example of the happiness that comes from reconciliation by showing how God's forgiveness can be applied to interpersonal relationships. In a similar vein, the Quran promotes forgiveness as a way to foster peace both within and between communities. Quranic verses highlight the benefits of pleading with people and settling disagreements peacefully, implying that forgiveness is not only an individual duty but also a collective one. Both religions encourage their adherents to develop a spirit of love and understanding by encouraging forgiveness, which eventually builds stronger, more compassionate communities. This emphasis on making amends is a potent reminder that true faith is shown by a willingness to forgive and pursue peace, and that love is frequently put to the test in the midst of conflict. Number 2. Interfaith cooperation. Both Islam and Christianity support interfaith communication and collaboration in today's more interconnected world as a way to advance harmony, comprehension, and common values. Religious leaders from the two traditions frequently collaborate to address shared social issues like injustice, poverty, and environmental issues. The love and compassion that both religions uphold as fundamental principles are the foundation of this partnership. Initiatives such as the Common Word Project, for example, promote communication between Muslims and Christians by emphasizing common values such as love for God and neighbor. This project was started in 2007 by Muslim scholars with the goal of promoting respect and understanding between the two religions while highlighting the value of love as a unifying factor. Together, Christians and Muslims can make the most of their combined power and resources to bring about constructive change both inside and outside of their communities. Interfaith cooperation highlights the humanity that unites all of us and not only promotes respect for one another, but also shows that love is not limited by religious differences. This collaborative attitude inspires believers to put aside their differences and enter into deep alliances that advance humanitarianism and social justice, ultimately fostering a more tranquil and harmonious world. Number 1. Response to global crises. Together, Christians and Muslims can make the most of their combined power and resources to bring about constructive change both inside and outside of their communities. Interfaith cooperation highlights the humanity that unites all of us and not only promotes respect for one another, but also shows that love is not limited by religious differences. This collaborative attitude inspires believers to put aside their differences and enter into deep alliances that advance humanitarianism and social justice, ultimately fostering a more tranquil and harmonious world. Christians and Muslims demonstrate the love of neighbor that is fundamental to their faiths by banding together to address crises, demonstrating the ability of faith to motivate action and promote solidarity in the face of hardship. This group's reaction not only emphasizes the moral requirement to look out for others, but also shows how resilient love and compassion can be in the face of adversity. Their mutual dedication to supporting those in need during trying times serves as an example of how their religious beliefs are put into practice and serves to emphasize the notion that love is best demonstrated by deeds rather than words. In conclusion, the central precepts of both Islam and Christianity are to love God and one's neighbor. Both religions have strong roots in this shared ethic of service and compassion, which still serves as a source of inspiration for interfaith harmony and concern for all people, particularly during difficult times. Thanks for watching our video, and don't forget to subscribe.